Okay, good. Are we still morning? Okay. We're afternoon now. Technically, we're afternoon. Josie and I, we're here with Dr. Josie and Andi again on Zero10 Podcast, and we a lot of times we every once in a while we do recording days. So today we've this is a recording day. So Trish, you're our fourth guest today. So we spent our morning with a couple of
Wow.
three amazing women, and now we've got number four. So we're excited to have Trish Levinson with us today. Trish is the co-owner
Yeah,
of
I own it with my spouse. Mhm.
Affinity Global Solutions, and that is in Bismarck, located in Bismarck, North Dakota. However, they do business all over. And so I'm not going to get into that. I want Trish to tell us exactly about her business and welcome.
Oh,
We're excited
thanks.
to have
Thanks.
you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And nice to see you both again. Um, like Andy said, it's actually a software business, and we're located in Bismarck. Although most of our customers are not in North Dakota, we do state budget systems for states at a state level. So I always tell people, if you don't know what that is, if I worked in, let's say, Game and Fish, an agency within a government entity, I have to do a budget every year, and I have to say how many pencils I want to buy, office supplies, paper. Am I having any travel for my staff? And so that is budgeted through a product like ours in different states, and then it gets sent up. The agency then sends it to the state budget office, and then it goes to the governor's office, and that becomes the Bible for the state budget. And the next process is it goes through, it's handed over to the legislative side, and then both the House and the Senate for every agency within a state have to approve or disapprove the numbers for their budget. So that's really what our software does. Um, we do it in Montana, we do it in Kansas, New Hampshire. I'm gonna miss somebody. Wyoming, and gosh, who am I missing? I know New Hampshire, Wyoming. I feel like I'm missing. Oh,
What's the big
not
one?
South, Hawaii, Hawaii
Oh,
right now. So right now we're in the middle of putting in a system for Hawaii. In fact, my husband leaves Sunday to go down there again. Um, that was a big deal for us because it'll be to date our largest implementation. So, and then once we have a state, um, they stay on, because they've invested a big chunk of time and energy in getting a statewide budget system. So they want to. Usually we have a long-term relationship. For example, what New Hampshire, we just rolled over our 20th year with the state of New Hampshire. So, and then we not only do we support the software, we actually do hosting. So like the data that people actually input into their computers resides in Bismarck in our data center. So we do that for quite a number of states. And that has brought us a lot of, viable reoccurring income as a business. So that's been good. Um, the other thing we do, a lot of people don't know this, is we support law enforcement in North Dakota and in South Dakota. If you ever get stopped in North Dakota or South Dakota, you get either a citation, a traffic ticket, or involved in a car accident. We support the software that they can actually print those citations in the car, or actually get the software or the actual crash report itself. And then they buy them. The state allows us to sell them on behalf of both the states. So if you get an accident and you want to buy it, you're buying it from a site that we have created for the states of North Dakota and South Dakota. So we have a lot of diverse things that we do. We have 18 employees, and they're all busy, busy, busy. So as you can imagine, there are certain times of the year that are busier than others. And when session is going on in all of our states, that's a busy time. When budgets are being prepared in the fall, that's a busy time. And we actually, in some states, print a big Bible of the budget. It's called the governor's recommended budget. It actually prints out from our system. So we've been doing this for 30 plus years. I know I'm aging myself, but I got into this business in 1996. So I've been doing it since then. And then my husband and I, Brent, we bought the business in 2006 from the gentleman who started it here in North Dakota. So it's been a good gig for me. The older I get, my time is flexible. I have 5 grandkids now that are growing like weeds. Two are going into junior high, and I like to spend time with them. And so my job is really flexible so that I can do that. I can help out my children. Both my kids went away. I shouldn't say I keep saying my kids. They're our kids. Went away to college and then came back. And I think that's so good when your kids leave, because then they just can't wait to come home, because they get a taste of the real world. So our son is a fireman for the city of Bismarck. He's been a fireman for 12 years. And my daughter is a dentist, and she owns her own business as well. So that's been kind of a nice transition. When she bought her dental practice, it's been helpful for us to give her some business insights with employees and benefits and what to do and what not to do, and how, learn from what we did wrong, kind of thing. So that's my background. I'm actually from Napoleon, North Dakota. I grew up in a little farming community, very Catholic farming community. I was raised on a farm, a dairy farm, milk cows, all the things, when you grow up on a farm. And at the time I didn't appreciate it, but now the older you get, the more you appreciate how you were raised and the job your parents did to give you the values, not only family values and faith, but also the work ethic that they had. So that's something that is important. Anyway, so that's that. Is that too long? I could talk forever, but
No, you did good.
When I extended the invitation to Trish to be on our podcast, and she said, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I was like, you are the last person I'm worried about on what they're going to talk about.
Yeah, it's funny.
Entertaining. Yeah. Trish is very entertaining, and you always have fun things to say and talk about, and very knowledgeable. And so, Josie, do you have, right off the bat, Josie, since you guys don't know each other as well, do you have things that you have?
Well, I was wondering if you joined the business first and then your husband joined later, or was he also part of?
No,
okay.
I joined, well, I don't know all detail I want to get, but I lived in Hazen, and I worked in the IT department at DGC. And I started my job at Basin, and then my practice husband and I moved to Hazen. And when we got divorced, then I left Hazen with the children. And I interviewed with some guy that this was in 1996. It's different now. It's like weird. He was here, he interviewed me and hired me on the spot. And I'm like, you don't know anything about me. He said, I got a good vibe about you. So I started working for this gentleman out of California. His name was Dave Cutler. And he owned the business, and he wanted to expand it. He made good friends with people up in North Dakota, and so he had ties to the state. And I sat at OAB for about 6 months when I was learning the product and how the budget system, the budget process worked. So I worked up there, and I'm still friends with Sheila Peterson and Pam Sharp, the people that I worked with up there. We're still really good friends. And so Dave was the one who kind of showed me the ropes, and he wanted to expand the business. And I think I was like the second person he hired. And then him and I just kind of clicked, and I'm kind of bossy. And I kind of took over the company. And when he would hire people, and I'd be like, no, we can't do that. You can't hire this person and say, here's your benefits, and then hire another person and say, oh, you don't get any benefits. I said, that's not how this works. We have to be consistent. We need a personnel manual. So I was the one in the company who wanted structure, if you will, because he was always fly by the seat of your pants kind of person. And it worked for him, and it worked for his business, the way he ran a business, but it didn't work for me. So I was very like structured. We need order, and we need everybody to be treated the same. We need job description, things like that, And so he let me. I was very fortunate. He let me build that for his company. And then as we were growing, we needed computer things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not, I mean, like hardware, like servers, and this is outside my arena and definitely outside Dave's. So Brent and I became friends. We worked on a project together, and he was that's my spouse now. He was very smart and very intuitive. And I would call him up and say, what should we do? What should we order? How do we set this up? And then he started coming on conference calls with us. And the next thing you know, Dave said, we should just hire him. We should hire him. Would you mind? And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. We're not that serious. I mean, he'd have to live here. And so Dave did hire him, and he moved here. And then, of course, we got married 10 months later. So, and then
cool
over
story.
time, yeah, it is a cool story. People always ask that, how'd you meet? Because he's from Canada. He's from Calgary.
Okay.
So back then, you couldn't just, still now, you can't just move to the United States and say, I'm here. Everybody, he had to be here on a work visa. And then he had to go to the border every year to have it renewed, which luckily we live in a state where the border's not that far away. And then eventually he got tired of that. And he said, I want to be, we're getting married. I'm going to go for my citizenship. So he did do that. And that's a process. We did that kind of on our own. We didn't hire an immigration lawyer because we thought, well, we could figure it out. But it took us about 2.5 years to do that, because you fill out the first form and you send in the money, and then the government responds and said, okay, you did that right. Now here's the next form. Send in a little bit more money, and you did that right. And then you go through this whole process. We had to show that we were married, and it wasn't a marriage of convenience. We had to go to Minneapolis and bring bills and wedding pictures and things like that. We had to do something in Canada. I mean, we traveled quite a bit because we wanted to make sure that we were doing it correctly. And then he took a citizenship test, and he was sworn in at the post office here. And it was really, we had some friends come. It was really, they had a welcome to America citizenship party at our house that night. So it was kind of fun. So anyway, so he's been here since 2000. He became a citizen in, I think, 2006. And then we bought the business from Dave in 2006 because we were very structured. We were running it, and he was out in California. I love the guy, but he was just doing his thing. And I would be like, oh, Dave, you can't do that. And of course, it's his money. But I was pretty bold. And I'd say, no, you can't buy that. What are you buying that for? We need that in the company, And so we kind of approached him and said, look, you're tired of Trish bossing you around. Why don't you let us just buy you out? So we did. We bought it in 2006, and we've owned it ever since. So, yeah.
Got it.
So but you did go through a transit. You went through a transition a couple years ago.
Right. We did a couple years ago. We've been approached on and off by different people to, how long are you going to work? I mean, I get asked that all the time. How long are you going to work? And I always say, as long as I want, we were approached, I don't know, almost 5 years ago now, by a company. No, I take that back. We decided, Brent and I, because I turned 5 years ago, I turned 60. That's what it was. I turned 60. God, I'm really giving my age. So now everybody knows I'm 65. I was 65 in December. And I just said, Brett, I'm 60. He's 3 years younger. He was 57. I said, how long? I mean, we need an exit strategy. We need to think about this before because we've seen this with so many of our friends and people we know, before our health fails. Sometimes you're just one fall away from being in a nursing home. I always say that to my siblings. We're all just one fall away from being in a nursing home, really. So we had our business evaluated by a company, and then we went to our accountant, and he prepared, I mean, this was a process, and we did it the right way. I feel like we did it the right way. He prepared a portfolio about us what he thought we were worth, had our office building. I forgot that we built an office building, and I can add that later on. But he built this portfolio about us, and then we sent it out to multiple places. And we were very selective. We really did it, and no offense to any local company, but we felt like if we're really going to sell, and it's really for what it's worth, we need to be outside of North Dakota, right? So we were Minneapolis, Denver, Canada, bigger, Chicago, and we had everybody that responded and wanted to interview us to see us, they had to sign NDAs. So we had about 10 companies reach out to us, and they interviewed us, and then we kind of had to interview them at the same time. And that was a time where, we didn't want to scare our employees or anything like that, because what we were looking for was really a partnership and not really change anything for the employees, not really change anything like the managing of the company. So we would come home at lunch and set up all these interviews and do them from our house, because we couldn't do them at work, and not that we were just being secretive, but we didn't know where this was going to go. So we didn't want people upset or worried about it if nothing became of it. And so after all the 10 interviews, a dozen interviews, I can't remember now exactly how many there were, we narrowed it down to 3. And then we picked this company out of Calgary, actually, which worked out really well because Brett's from Calgary. So he kind of felt a kinship with them, if you will. And he thought, well, gosh, they know Calgary, and they were young. I mean, we're talking in the 30s, but sharp people. And they were looking to buy a company and letting us manage it. And they just wanted to kind of be an investor. So we sold 5 years ago, 80% of the business. We own 20% to this managing company, and they've been wonderful. They came down for my birthday party. When I had a party in December, they come down for our company picnics. They came down. They're just like, if we have proposals and we want them to read them, they're so sharp. They've learned a lot about our business, so they read all of our proposals. They oversee some of our contracts. So it's really, really been helpful. And actually, they've helped us take our business to the next level. And that's what they wanted to do. When we make money, they make money. So it's worked out really quite well. So I would highly recommend doing that when you're ready to have an exit strategy for your business. Know your worth first.
So is there an exit strategy for the other 20%? Like, was that part of the deal, or is that not part of the deal?
It's not part of the deal. Not as of yet. I think the exit strategy is let Trish get out completely. At some point, I worked 2 days. I went to 3, and then I dropped a day, and now I work 2. And then, of course, our Hawaii client, we meet every Tuesday. So if I still take those calls, even though I'm not supposed to be working. But my time is pretty flexible. If I put in extra hours, I can take an afternoon or whatever. But I mean, I started Medicare, and which, by the way, from a small company's perspective, way cheaper to take me off the company healthcare system and go on Medicare and get a supplement, right? And so I started Medicare, and I'm collecting my Social Security, and it's like, I work as little or as much as I want. And at some point, I would like to be done completely. I don't know exactly when that will be, but Brett's 3 years younger, and he loves working. I mean, our customers, they've seen me kind of take a backseat to a lot of things. And so I think at some point, if I do step out completely, Brett will become the president, because currently I'm still the president. And then we'll have one of our other employees step up as vice president. But yeah, I mean, that's still a goal. I just don't know if it's still probably within my 2 to 3 year plan at this point. Now, if another company approached us and said, hey, we're interested in buying you guys again, we'd probably seriously look at that. Yeah, if it was right, and if Brett could still have the managing role of the company. Because I think the reason why we're successful is because of the management, honestly. Not to toot our own horn, but a lot of, a lot of business customers is about relationships. We
Right.
have no good relationships with these people.
Right.
Right. Right. That, I mean, maybe it is tooting your own horn, but companies are not successful if they're not managed properly. That's, I mean,
Right.
they can't be, it doesn't work that way. So
And
you
the other,
should toot your own horn.
yeah,
Mhm.
the other thing I think that I like to tell, we tell this to any existing new customers that, we do proposals. We have a small staff, but our staff has longevity. We Vince, our oldest, he's not the oldest in age. I'm the oldest person in the company, but has been there the longest. He just celebrated 26 years with us. That's a long time. And unfortunately, this spring we lost one of our employees due to a sudden heart thing. And he was with us for 24 years. So we do, and we're celebrating another guy in July. He's going to be with us for 15 years. So we try to do, we started doing staff gifts. When you hit your 10-year, we do gifts for everybody. Usually they're in the monetary thing or whatever. And so we start to recognize long-term employees. Um, but we've got, we hired a guy kind of as a replacement in June for the one that we lost. It's not a replacement of his job, but a replacement of a resource. And before that, we haven't had to hire in probably about 6 years. We hired a whole group about 6.5, 7 years ago from the University of Mary. We hired 4 programmers who all graduated at the same time, and they kind of knew each other. So we interviewed one, and then the next, and we hired them all. So yeah, so I mean, I think it's important that if you have, and you guys, if you own a business, you know this, longevity or faithful staff is important. And you have to, and for a lot of people, it's not about money. It's about how they're treated. It's about the freedom you give them. It's about any little perks that you might do. Um, whatever, whether it's health insurance, vision, and dental. We actually have life insurance that we offer our employees and free to all the employees. And in fact, when our employee passed away this spring, that was a nice little thing that we could give his wife and his family a life insurance check from our life insurance company because we had been paying on it for 20 years for him.
Mhm.
And she didn't even know we had it. So anyway, so I think that's employees just want to be treated with respect and that's what we do, and Brent's there. I mean, I may not be there every day, but Brent's there. Brent puts in the time. And when you have a manager that's actually there and putting in the time and in the trenches with you, that makes a difference.
Definitely. I know, Andy, you were really good about that. Like, being there, not scared to dust something or vacuum or, like you're like, whatever needs to be done, we're doing it, right? Like that's,
Right.
yeah, really
Right.
important.
So the building, is the
Yeah.
building still for sale?
Well, we have it listed as there's rental prop space and or for sale. If
Okay.
there was a buyer, this building was built. I mean, I always say this is Brent's baby. He designed this building. Brent also has 2 degrees. He's got a degree in engineering and a degree in IT, and he's electrical engineering. He just knows all the things, right? So he designed this building, and it's really hard for him to give things up. But I was like, when's enough? And so we had a lull, when COVID came and all the state aid, everybody went working from home. We lost a renter. And so we just this spring got a renter back. It'd been 3 years since we had a renter in the lower level. Now AGS rents quite a bit of space, the company that we own 20%. But we still have a lot of other space that could be rented out. And if the right person came along and said, look, I want to move my business in here, but I want to buy the building, we'd be like, great. I mean, I would be like, great, but I mean, it'd have to be right for Brent. It'd have to be the right price. Now, one thing I will say about our building, it is a green building. So all the heating is geothermal. We don't have any paper towels in the bathroom, because we have blowers and that. So we're trying to save the world, if you will, or keep the world from, whatever. And so it's got certain kind of lighting. All the rooms go dark if there's no movement in them, things like that. So energy and cost savings. And it really, you could tell we've had it since 2014. And when I tell people what our utilities are, they're like, that's it. And I'm like, yeah, because it's efficient, very efficient. Taxes, not so much, but everything else, taxes are taxes. So
Yeah.
Taxes are taxes.
yeah, good or bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've owned that since 2014. And when we put the business up for sale, if there would have been a buyer that wanted the business and the building, that would have been great. But the people that we are in business with now, they didn't want to own a property. They just wanted to own our business. So
Got it.
yeah.
So you talked a little bit earlier about how you spend your free time. I mean, you talked about your family and stuff. So
Yeah.
is that the majority of your free time?
Yeah, I think so. Family,
What do you do to stay grounded? Like, what do you do? Like, do you work out? Do you go for walks? Do you sit in your backyard? What do you do?
yeah, I should do more of that, shouldn't I? I'm
I don't
so
know.
social. I'm
You are
so
very social.
social. And to be honest with you, I mean, I do exercise, walk or whatever. I try to do that because, like I said, I'm taking my calcium and all that. Um, but with my grandkids, I want to spend as much time with them as I can because I feel like in today's world, it always takes a village, right? So I come from a family of 14 siblings. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
And you probably remember that. There's 7 boys, 7 girls. I was child number 10. So I don't know if that makes me a middle child or what that makes me, but when you have that many siblings, you had to be loud to be heard. And I tell that to people. That's why I'm loud, because I had all these siblings. And unfortunately, now all of us are aging. My oldest brother is 80, going to be 81. I have another sibling with Parkinson's. So, that's concerning. And I try to spend time with my grandkids because I feel like, and maybe their kids don't, maybe my children don't think this, but I feel like I'm a positive influence on them. I keep them grounded. I keep them from becoming spoiled little kids or whatever, kids with attitude. And, I'm the kind of, they call me Nana. I'm the kind of Nana that will say, no, 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 we don't talk that way. We don't do that, So they're good about letting me discipline if I need to discipline. But honestly, I have the best grandkids. They're very well rounded. They go to totally different school. One family goes to Dorothy Moses, about to go to Wachter. The other family goes to Liberty, and she's about to go to Horizon. And I always tell people Claire is like my little mini me because we took a picture a week ago with my daughter and my granddaughter, and everybody's like, oh my God, you guys all look alike because she's got dark hair too. But anyway, so I like to hang with them. My son has a pontoon, although we haven't been on it yet. I like to go on the pontoon with them. I just we just put it together yesterday, a swing, those with a canopy for my backyard.
Nice.
So I said to Brett, I want to be outside more and sit there, but I'm very fair. I have to really watch sun. My natural hair color is not this, but so I'm really fair skinned. My mother was a fair skinned redhead, and I have her skin coloring. So I've always been anti-sun. I like to be outside, but I don't like to get sunburned. So I always wear a hat. I always wear lots of sunscreen. So for fun, and we have a lot of friends that we hang with. We have a group that we go to bingo with. I have a good friend from high school that we weren't really that close in high school. I always tell my friend Julie, her name's Julie, we had different lives. She was lived in town and she was a cheerleader and, popular. And I was the farm girl, but we have reconnected and our spouses get along really, really well. And so I hang with her a lot. We go to the Elks quite a bit because we're Elks members, and now we joined the Eagles. So now we're Eagles members. And I like going there because I feel like we're the youngest people. I always tell people we bring down the age demographics, but it's fun. They always have music. They always have something to do. And, so I'm very social, and Brent is very social as well. He's not as social as me, but being married to me now for 25 years, he's become more social. So anyway, as I was, we went to Country Fest every year. And he really enjoys music of all kinds. So yeah, we like to do stuff like that.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
When you were younger, did you have like a group of people too? Like when you were, young mom and working and
I
doing all the
did. I
things.
did.
Yeah.
I did. My mother raised 14 children. And so as you can imagine, when I had kids, I think my son Logan was grandchild number 28. And I remember calling my parents after he was born and saying, "Oh, I had a baby. It's baby." Well, and my mom went, "Oh," and my dad, "Did it rain up there?" Farmers, "Oh, did it rain up there?" And it's like, okay, and they were like, they're just like after 28 grandkids, and I always tell people my parents were always elderly because there were so many kids. I always thought they were, I think my mom was 40, almost 40 when I was born, and she had four more after me. And so they would come to visit me in Hazen when the kids had anything church related. They were there. But if my kids were in figure skating, they didn't come for any of that. But I had great sisters. I had sisters who would help me out, who would back me up. If I needed to come to Bismarck, I could drop my kids off at one of my sisters so I could run and do my thing. I had great support that way. And then, of course, there were other women in the Hazen Beulah community that I was friends with, and our kids would play together. So I did have groups of women that were in the same boat as me, that we became friends. Yeah, and some of them I still see to this day. So
Yeah. I think that's really important. It just seems
yeah.
like it's came up so much today, Andy, hasn't it? Like just having supportive people around you, which means that you need to be a support too, right? It's like it
Right,
goes
right,
every
right.
direction. But
And
it
you
seems
and
like
you could
people have,
imagine. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
no, you're good.
Josie, but you can imagine when you go through traumatic times in your life. I mean, really, who steps up? Is usually your siblings or your parents. And when even when I was going through my divorce, my parents were supportive. I mean, of course, they didn't want me to get a divorce, but they were supportive, right? And when my son died, I mean, the first person who came to see me was my mother. So, family's important, but now both my parents have passed away. So, I mean, now more than ever, my sisters and I have sisters and adult nieces and my daughter. So we have a weekly wine, not weekly, sorry, monthly. We started doing it monthly. So once we miss, we call it wine night. But basically, it's getting together. Whoever hosts, you serve the food, and people come, and we just kind of hang out and we talk about what's going on in our lives, our children. A lot of us don't drink anymore or drink very little. So we just still get together because it's just fun to hang out, right? And keep in touch that way. So yeah, I would say that sisters, and now because I was younger, my adult nieces,
Mhm.
I hang with them. They're not that much younger than us. Well, 20 years maybe, but 15. But they, I have adult nieces who will call me and just want to ask advice or something like that. So it's nice to have a large family. I always tell people I've always feel blessed coming from a very large family.
My mom is one of 10, and I'm the niece that
Oh,
calls the aunt. And honestly, some of them are my best friends. Like they'd be the people
exactly.
that I would
Yeah.
reach out to for
And
anything. Yeah.
and even now on Monday, I was off Monday. my daughter, my granddaughter, and her two kids, and then my two nieces joined us at the pool.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause one's a teacher and one's just isn't working for the summer, so it just works out. But anyway, yeah, those are all good support people to have in your life. If nothing else, keep you grounded, keep you young at heart, you know. So,
I had a friend tell me
oh,
that once. She was in her mid 50s, I think. This was like maybe 8 years ago or more. She's like, I want to be friends with you. I want you to keep me young.
yeah,
So like I'm hanging out with you. Where are you going? Like what are we doing?
yeah.
You know,
Tell me all the things. What's the latest?
what's
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on? Yeah, I
yeah,
get it. Now
yeah.
I'm looking for the 20-year-old friends, right?
Yeah, exactly. We have a group chat, Snapchat, and we call it the Wine Nighters. And all the nieces, and most are either, I mean, they're all 18 to whatever, and all of us aunts are in it. And so that's how we kind of share stuff that's going on. Did you guys see this? Or what do we do? You know, so it's funny, we've created a Wine Nighters from doing this. And it was one of my nieces who started this wine night thing. And it's really, we've been doing it about 4 years. And then during COVID, we were all in that was our bubble, right? You know, so we even did it for a while through COVID. I guess it was the tail end of COVID, and people were so ready to see each other, you know, again. So we
Oh yeah,
started it at the tail end of COVID.
that's excellent.
Well,
Yeah,
I would like to say as we close, talking about support, Trish is very good at giving support, and Trish and I have been a part of the same group for I don't know how many years, whatever. I have no idea when that started,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I've watched Trish be supportive of the other women in the group, not just professionally. I would say way more so personally. So I
Mhm.
wanted to compliment you on that, and I mean I've
Oh,
been on the
thank you.
receiving end of that
Yeah.
support, and you're very good at it.
Well, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that.
Thank you for being with us today.
Yeah,
This
thanks.
has been
Here I was
fun.
here I was worried I wouldn't have anything to say. And my husband said to me this morning, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you like talking about
Yeah,
yourself."
yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
You're very entertaining and well spoken, and we appreciate you being here.
All right. Thank you for
Can't
having
speak.
me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks,
You
Trish.
guys stay out of the heat, and
Yeah.
enjoy the long weekend.
Yes.
Maybe
You
Yeah.
not
too.
long weekend, but more weekend.